it sounds quite simple in that we're all aiming for the same goal, right? We want to be kind of the best leading provider for apps and websites. So because everyone's trying to get to the common goal, it isn't this is their role, like this is what I'm doing to get to that end goal. It's what we're doing as a team. And I think we start that out right in the interview process, kind of when we're talking to people and interviewing people, or even shortlisting to a certain degree if people have worked in similar companies, similar sizes. And actually, are you a team player?
Welcome to the People Powered Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things workplace culture. Let's help you reinfuse your workplace with that happiness factor, a show that gives you the expert insight to attract and keep happy, high-performing employees. I'm your host, Lorianne Duguay, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the People Powered Podcast. We are continuing our secret sauce series, like Big Mac's secret sauce. We want to know there are clearly a lot of companies out there that are doing culture right, and we want them to share some of their tips, tricks, and strategies, some of the initiatives that they've seen reap really big rewards when it comes to making their people feel seen, heard, and valued. Today, we are welcoming Georgina Dellar-Gardiner. Welcome, Georgina.
Hello.
Georgina is with Makodo. So before we dive a bit deeper into this whole workplace culture and the culture that you're striving to uphold and create at Makodo, can you share with our audience a bit more about what brought Georgina to doing what Georgina does today? So a bit more context on your kind of career path, as well as a bit more about the company and what kind of services you offer or products.
Sure, no problem. Thank you. And I'm really happy to be here. Been really excited this morning to come and do this today. So thanks for having me along. So first I'll talk a little bit about me, what has kind of led me to here, why HR, and how I've got to Makodo and what I do now. So I took a bit of an untraditional kind of route into HR. I didn't go to university. I didn't get a degree or anything like that. I kind of finished up school and was like, now what do we do? I actually kind of remember pacing the streets with my dad giving out CVs when I was 17, just wanting to get your name in there, getting your feet in and under the table, so to speak. So I got offered a role, just doing administration for a company, and as we kind of progressed through there, a role as HR coordinator come up. And when you're reading through kind of a job spec or an advert and thinking, this was internal, should I say, I can do that, sure, I can do that, that would be fine. Yeah. And I remember actually doing the interview, and my soon-to-be bosses said to me at the time, why HR? What would make you good at HR? What makes you want to do it? And I was like, I love people. Can't be that hard, right? Surely. And to this day, I remember saying that and them saying to me, well, if you love people, this may not be the right job. But no, it's great. So they actually funded me to do my university degree, which I done through evening classes. So I was working alongside, and to be honest, it was kind of the best way I could have done it, because it's all very well doing your degree and having the theory behind what you do, but being able to kind of have real life examples of that to use was fantastic. So absolutely. Yeah, it was brilliant. And obviously then I got my CIPD, my level 7 degree qualification, and kind of went from there. So I eventually left that organisation and went on and kind of gained experience at a advisory level and kind of built my way up that way. I kind of went and worked in a bank, so I've got kind of financial industry experience, and then I got offered a role in the sporting industry, where I used to work for Formula One, and it was kind of at Formula One where my experience in HR really accelerated. As you can imagine, it's quite a different, unique culture at F1. Sporting wasn't something that I'd kind of experienced before, and it was a much larger organisation than what I was kind of used to. So yeah, I kind of built my way up through senior business partner at Formula One. Got 5 years kind of under my belt there. Had a family and stuff as well, and I'd done quite a lot of travel while I was at F1. So it was time again to start looking around and moving on. And I think by that point, I had such a great deal of generalist experience under me. I really wanted to kind of put that into practice and be more in kind of a standalone role where I could set up the
strategy.
culture, set up the policies, have a say into the strategy, because at that point that wasn't an exec level role, but it was to kind of have a voice and be able to feed into that. And then that takes me really to joining Makodo back in 2021. So I've just been here just over 3 years now, and I joined Makodo as a HR manager, replacing another HR manager that was here before me. And I think there was some questions at the time around, you've gone from a really large organisation to Makodo, which at the time was, I think, around 50, just under 50 people. Why? Like, what is it about? Why do you want to do that? There was a lot of questions. But for me, I saw Makodo as a real kind of good opportunity to, one, be in that standalone kind of role and to be able to lead and direct on the strategy and really get my teeth into directing on the culture and what a culture looks like. And to be honest, I feel like I've gone from strength to strength in Makodo. My confidence has soared because I'm very kind of, I'd like to say well liked, but I think my opinion is respected of what I do and what I'm trying to do at Makodo. And then I was offered a position as Director of People and Culture back in December 2022. And it's actually Makodo's first exec level HR position as well. So it's a massive achievement of mine that I've been able to do that and actually fully fledged part of the exec team, really, because very much we're all equals. We've all kind of got equal say on our business units and things. And
it's wonderful that they recognize that. It's amazing. And, just as an FYI, I also completed my school while working full time and my family. First my BA, my bachelor, and then I went back and did my postgraduate studies. And so I feel you. I know what it's all about, but I also recognize the awesome opportunity of getting theory and being able to directly translate it on real time into your day-to-day as you're working different roles. The other thing that I love is Makodo clearly understands the importance of positioning HR as a partner. They're a strategic partner rather than a transactional department. I really think that's where you see a huge difference between companies who are in this constant survival mode with no strategy or not much of a strategy or no time to strategize because they are always in that transactional space, versus those who are able to thrive because they understand the value, they understand the importance, and they position their HR as a strategic partner within the organization. And it sounds like Makodo does definitely do that. Can you share a bit more about Makodo, the company itself? Just like what's the size, the scope, what do you do?
Yeah, I think just tagging off the back of what you just said, I think it really did shine throughout the interview process when I was interviewing, that because that's the opportunity I wanted. That's what I wanted to do, is actually I was a business partner at the time, but actually partner rather than be dictated to as to what we should be doing. So that's great. Of course. So Makodo, who are we? What do we do? Obviously, we're building our reputation out there at the moment. We create customized user experiences and best-in-class apps and websites. So we focus on kind of the sportsbook, casino and lottery operators, and we're well within the iGaming department. So very techy. I work with a lot of very, very skillful and knowledgeable people, which their jobs go completely over my head a lot of the time. And I've learned a lot from them in terms of app development and tech knowledge. Like it's such a lovely arena to be in because everybody's so passionate about what they do and want to teach and want you to understand what they're doing as well. So that has been a massive help in Makodo. So Makodo, we've grown significantly. Like I say, when I joined, we was kind of just under 50 people, I think. And within those 3 years, we've grown. We're actually on 112 people now. So we've massively upscaled. Yeah. We've got 2 offices within the UK. So one is London, one is Newcastle. So different kind of markets, different kind of arenas there, and we're also owned by our parent company, Pollard Banknote Limited, who are based in Canada, and we do partner with them and work with them a lot. So although we have quite a small HR team, which is kind of myself and 2 others within Makodo, we partner very, very closely to the HR team out in Canada, which is Pollard's team, and obviously we all kind of have input and direction on that strategic operation and the strategic kind of mission and goals, but each kind of subsidiary has their very own culture, as you can imagine. Like we're kind of split across the world. So that's Makodo. Like I say, we have so many experienced people and knowledgeable people in Makodo, and it's a bit of a delight to work here because of all of them, really. So
you can tell that the passion shines through, the excitement, that sense of fulfillment is definitely there. I'd love for us down the line to maybe revisit this notion of people who are excited and they really feel like they're highly competent, they're excited to share their knowledge, because I think that in and of itself has also to do with that thriving culture where we're not guarding information. Okay, that's it. Let's just get right into that first, and then the other features. But it's true, right? I feel that there are companies that are extremely competitive, but in that competition, there's a guarding of information. There's certainly, the individuals aren't encouraged to share and to collaborate and to be able to support each other in growing and evolving and becoming collectively more competent, higher performing. Talk to us a bit about how Makodo facilitates that transfer of knowledge and competence.
Sure. So I think it actually starts as it sounds quite simple in that we're all aiming for the same goal, right? We want to be kind of the best leading provider for apps and websites. So because everyone's trying to get to the common goal, it isn't this is their role, like this is what I'm doing to get to that end goal. It's what we're doing as a team. And I think we start that out right in the interview process, kind of when we're talking to people and interviewing people, or even shortlisting to a certain degree if people have worked in similar companies, similar sizes. And actually, are you a team player? It's as simple as that, really. Like we kind of test skills and we do tests and things to get that out of people in interview.
Okay, I'm going to pause you right there. I want to pause you on that. I want us to revisit tests and skills in interviews, because I think a lot of people want to do it, but they're not too sure how to go. So I'll let you finish your thought, but then we'll come back.
So it's about making people proud of what they're doing and proud of what we're trying to achieve. It isn't Makodo is trying to achieve that best in iLottery. It's everybody is Makodo and we're trying to achieve that common goal. So I think that's the start of creating the culture, isn't it? Is making something people are proud of, and also just as well letting people know what role they play in that. It's all very good for us to have kind of a mission statement and a vision that we want the company to be at, but how do we get people to understand what their role is, and not in a segregated way, not in a this is what you do and you don't do anymore. People want other people to do well, and they want to see us achieve, which is a really lovely place to be.
You want to make them connect to that goal, right? How does the work I do, despite the fact that it might feel so repetitive, mundane on some days, that it's still part of something bigger than myself, that it's still in some way, shape, or form helping Makodo and all of us achieve what we're setting out to achieve here, and reminding them regularly, right?
And it's also, though, it sounds silly to say, but it's something that I took along when I come from F1. You know, you'd see the sporting, you'd see the racing on screen, and you'd know, or people would know they'd been part of that. And at Makodo, you see an app go live, you see, you know, a website go live, and people kind of using it, people reviewing it and putting reviews up on Google Play and things like that, and actually getting people to know and understand they were a part of that. You made that live, you've made that happen, and I think that's the key. So
that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And when you feel like you've been a part of that, and then there's a downturn in the business, something goes eerie, there's a huge change that needs to be implemented. You know what? I'm gonna just kind of stay the course here, because I know that it's all part of the business, but I wouldn't want to let my colleagues down. We're in this together, and we need to be there for each other and weather the storm together. So certainly important to not only be very clear on what that vision is and work on developing it collectively, that it not be a prescribed top-down exercise, that really it be something that as an organization we develop, but then to helping people connect, and not just during the interview process, which is a great opportunity right then and there, even before they apply, starting to showcase some of those beautiful things that you do externally to get people kind of their interest piqued and get them wanting to be a part of that, but through to once they're in, they're fully trained. How are we continuing to remind them? And the very nature of your business sounds like that happens organically because they see the app go live. It is launched.
I mean, it does, but it's very much as well, people are the heart of what we do. We couldn't do what we do without people, right? And it's going above and beyond, aside from work, from, they come in, they do their job, they're great at it, but we socialise together as well. So Makodo does a lot of socialisation. We've recently just come back from a joint event where we hire a big hotel and we spend 2 full days and an evening together. Everybody stays over because then you haven't got the rush of the commute, having to go. And we invest quite a lot in having a good time. Yes, of course, we still have business to do, a business to run, and we usually communicate our kind of business objectives and updates and how we're doing, but actually we make sure people have a really good time as well. And then people kind of connect on a deeper level. They're not just colleagues then, they're friends, and they know their children's names and what they're doing at the weekend. And it's about building those relationships, because then the deeper you build the relationship, the better you're going to perform.
Absolutely. And how frequently do you host those types of events?
So we do a quarterly event, which is 2 separate events. So we do a London and a Newcastle, and that is, we went to kind of like a Fair Game, which is an arcadey game place in London last quarter, and I think Newcastle have done an escape room. We do that quarterly, and then we do an annual team event in the summer, and we do a Christmas event in the winter.
Amazing. So let's talk a bit more about that knowledge transfer and what are some of the systems that you do have into place. You talked about at the interview, you start right away to help them focus on the goal. You alluded to the fact that you have some highly competent people. What are some of the ways that you encourage or facilitate that information sharing and facilitate that teaching that on the job?
No problem. So there's a lot of kind of different ways. I'll probably talk a lot here about engineering as a whole because it makes up the majority of our business, but there's so many other ways people can get involved. So something that we do quite well is we do a shiny showcase. And that's on a Friday at 3 p.m. Everybody can grab a beer or a glass of wine, or because we provide all that in our kitchens. And they sit down for the shiny showcase, and it is basically a chance for people to showcase what they've done that week, or what they're building, or what they're working on. It doesn't have to be an app. I've just implemented a HR system with my team, so it's a really good time to kind of sit down and be like, this is what I've done. People so freely ask questions, how can I do that? How did you get that to work so efficiently? How did you make that color? Do you know what I mean? So it gives people a really kind of, it stops people working in silos, because then everyone knows what others are doing, what projects we're working on, but also it gives people the avenue to kind of ask questions and know who to ask if they really want to further their skills in certain areas.
Yeah, it showcases their expertise, not only whatever what they've been working on, but their expertise. So it becomes kind of building that list of phone a friends if something goes awry on one of your projects.
But then also, again, it feeds back to that pride element of, if somebody's worked really, really hard on something, they want to show it off. Of course, we're human. I would. So they can have that opportunity to kind of showcase what they've been doing. So that's really well loved, and it goes down a treat really, really well. What else do we do? We're very, very kind of collaborative when we're in the office. So we've got a kind of like a lot of breakout areas, not just for people to kind of sit and eat their lunch, but for people to actually work together, and stuff as well. We offer a hybrid working environment, and we're not fully remote, because I think through COVID we lost that human interaction, human touch area a little bit, and there's nothing kind of more beneficial than getting together in a little hub and brainstorming and writing things out. And so we also have a graduate scheme here, and that's a really good opportunity. We take kind of 5 to 6 graduates an intake, which is around September time, and it gives the opportunity for those that are not quite ready for management, but to mentor and to grow people coming into the business, sharing their knowledge, and to be able to actually, it goes back to that pride thing, watching someone that you've trained and that you've kind of nurtured coming into the business grow and progress through the ranks within the business. Amazing. Like, really amazing.
100%.
So that is something as well that we're really quite proud of, and we've had quite good feedback from grads and we've also had people that started as a grad and are now principal engineers and stuff. So it's a really lovely way to kind of share and come into the business.
Love it. Absolutely love it. What other features do you think really differentiate Makodo, or that perhaps not something that's so out of this world that you don't see elsewhere, but just what are some of the day-to-day things that you practice, or some of the practices that you guys do that you believe lead to, in addition to that pride, reminding people what that common vision is, and helping them connect to it, ensuring that you're facilitating that flow of feedback to one another, but also facilitating relationship building and ensuring that you are giving them opportunities to nurture that pride seed, if you will, or that level, which translates directly to loyalty, let's be honest, and performance, right? Because they want to go above and beyond in the spirit of that collective goal. What are some of the other features of the Makodo workplace culture that you think really kind of stand out?
Sure, no problem. So I think communication is a real big one. And I know it sounds simple. It's very easy to fly an email update off or put an announcement out on the HR system or a message on Slack. It doesn't have the same effect of actually kind of getting up and speaking or meeting with people in person, to be able to kind of share what's been going on. And our MD is very, very willing and open to kind of share what he's been up to. He travels quite a lot, as you can imagine, and he doesn't ever want to be one of those people that's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just traveling with work. So he will do kind of the week that was updates, to just let people know what he's up to, how kind of projects are going, how we're kind of doing with it in the market when with revenue. We also do town halls quite regularly, which I know can be quite common in businesses, but we like to do it with a bit of a twist. So we have guest speakers kind of come in. This year we had someone to come in about kind of equality, diversity and inclusion, because it's such a big thing within the workplace. We've actually had Eddie the Eagle come in to do a talk about his career and what success looks like for him and empowerment and things like that. And again, people love it. They love kind of having a different avenue on it. The exec team all are quite active in getting communications and messages and standing up and talking to people. And we do always have, I say we have an open door policy, but we don't really have doors in the office. I'm looking out there now and it's all very open plan. So, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of level you're at or what you're doing. No one is ever too busy to have a conversation about something. We've got a suggestions box that we quite actively use, where people kind of, not physical box, but you know what
I was going to say, do you have a physical box?
No, we're a little bit, we're a tech company, Laurie, aren't we? We can't have a physical box. So people kind of put suggestions and that can be anything from like an improvement of process, you know, how we could improve efficiency. And we always ensure that we answer those. We answer suggestions, whether that's meeting with the people to discuss how they can input into improving, or even if it's something we can't do at this point, we'll explain the why and we'll explain why it was considered. And the kind of head of departments have recently implemented a "you said we listened" technique. Okay. So they will meet with their whole teams. And for some of our head of departments, we're talking like 30, 40 people, but they'll do an all hands on meeting, get feedback on how things are going. I plan to do that for the new system that we've just had going out, because obviously it's great to get a system out there, but we want to know feedback. And it just feels at times a little bit impersonal just to send out an automated survey and then you never hear anything about what happened from that survey. So I think the "you said we listened" is, you know, we take things away, any feedback or suggestions, and then we come back and we make sure people understand that actually we have listened. Yeah,
that's often the missing link. It's that loop back of, here's what we heard and here's what we're going to do about it, if we can do anything about it. If we can't, here's why we can't right now. Yep. But we've captured it for down the line in the event that that changes and we're able to action it. Absolutely. And in my former career, they had launched, we got one of our senior execs, when he got involved with the organization, he was a huge proponent of crowdsourcing and, really fielding your people and getting the sourcing, using them as your source of continuous improvement data. So he went with a website at the time, I think it was called Soapbox or something like this. And what it was, you could put onto their input a continuous improvement idea, business process improvement idea, and you would just define it, explain it, and then you would deploy, and people would vote. And what they had done, they said, okay, we're going to put a threshold that any ideas that get at least this level of support or vote, we're going to bring to the table, and then we're really going to action. We never heard, I'm talking like hundreds of ideas that were put on there. People took the time to really develop the ideas. I think one or two saw the light of day, but so many we never heard back on anything. And that in and of itself was such a disheartening situation where people take the time to complete these types of exercises, provide that feedback. We need to loop back and tell them that, like, this is what we heard and here's what we're going to do about it. In the same way people say, oh, we can't do another survey. People have survey fatigue. No, they don't. They don't have survey fatigue. They have lack of follow through and action fatigue. They're done with doing and taking time out of their busy days to complete these exercises, to provide some feedback that they feel is really valuable, and then hearing nothing from it, right? So
I think as well, something that we've learned though is, we can send surveys till the cows come home, right? But actually that personal touch of having a conversation and actually understanding what the person is rated 1 to 5 or what that actually means, and people, I think that's what feeds into our culture at Makodo, is that people are not afraid to speak up. They're not afraid to have these conversations. It's not just submitting an anonymous survey. And I just feel like that's so important, to just be able to connect with people and actually understand what it is the frustration is, or what it is that they're asking for, rather than just a tick box exercise.
Your point about town halls, and I love that you put a twist on them, because too many organizations make it about a talking heads exercise. Again, to your point about a checkbox exercise, yeah, we do town halls, yeah, we do. But are you taking the time to evaluate, are they in fact achieving what you're hoping to achieve? The town hall is about helping people understand where we're at and giving them a bit of a floor to have a conversation.
Something we actually done at our away event, I told you about our annual away day thing. So on the first day we done like team bonding, we done running around muddy fields with horses and chariots and all sorts of things going on. But on the second day we done kind of a workshop which was titled 99 Problems, Let's Fix Some of Them. So nice. Each table was given kind of a problem or an issue in Makodo at the moment that we wanted to kind of focus on, and then was asked to kind of present back, how do we fix it? So everybody's feeding it. And you know what? Some of the views we had from people we never ever would have had if we were just dealing with that at a management level, like people's inputs, people's takes. But again, we need to follow up on how we're going to fix those things now. So that's something that's ongoing and that we'll report back in town halls and things like that. So it's very much, communication is a huge thing for me, and also within Makodo as well.
And it is one of the most primary needs to lead to fulfillment at work. It's also in the top complaints in any engagement survey exercise that we do with clients, that their employees, what we hear, their team members feel like they don't have the information they need to do their work, that things are very guarded, hidden. And so creating that open space will lead to the level of trust required for people to openly provide feedback, for people to really tell you how they really feel and speak their truth, as opposed to becoming, just a bunch of yes people who are going through the motions because they don't really want to upset the organization or upset their peers. It really provides that level of trust that leads to high performance. What other features of Makodo? We talked about communication, relationship, facilitating that kind of connection to the collective goal. Is there anything else that you feel you really think is contributing to creating that highly engaging workplace?
I think, I know we talk about communication and stuff a lot, but it's also the people we hire, right? I know that sounds silly, but I think it's really, it's really important that we hire the right people, yes, but it's also really important that we're the right organisation for people as well, because sometimes two things just just don't match up. There's no fault on either side of those, you know, but we want to be the type of organisation that is very transparent about who we are and what we do and what our culture is, because that's not for everybody, and that's fine. But I think there has been organisations that I've been in at the past that kind of the image they portray of themselves is very different when you get into the business. So I think not in a bad way, but it's just, you know, their marketing and the way they sell themselves is one way, and actually when you're in the business and you see the culture and you see what it is completely different. So we've put quite a lot of time and effort, and you know, our marketing manager is brilliant. She's done a lot to kind of ensure that we're always on brand. We're always kind of, everything we do ties back into our values, and making sure those values are kind of lived and breathed, not just words on a piece of paper. So they're in kind of everything we do. They're in, you know, before we even onboard someone, like the attraction techniques, we make sure that we tailor our kind of adverts and spec towards what we're looking for with our value. And that is something that's very new to Makodo. You know, we only really kind of published our vision, mission and values in January this year. Before that, it was something we had, but I don't think we was very good at kind of publishing and getting that out there. But the kind of feedback we've had is that's been very, very useful with people's journey through Makodo, because they're living those values. They're acting in a certain the way, you know, that's their
cornerstone principles, right? They're cornerstone principles. And now they all understand, and there's alignment. They can align to it. They can, they can really work towards that. It's a common goalpost. It just makes it there, and it puts it at the forefront of all decision making. And I giggled, and I know you noticed I giggled when you were talking about they portray one image externally. We see this on social media all the time, even on a personal level, right? What they're putting there isn't actually who they are in real life. And that's one of the biggest issues is for disengagement, for people getting checked out early on in their career. I worked with a client where their biggest turnover was within the first 6 months. Why do you think that is? Because they were great at the pitch. They had a killer marketing department for the pitch and the interview. They would bring people in, and then they hadn't spent any time.
It's not what they thought it would be.
No.
Either.
So to use I use the dating world analogy of catfishing. Like you're portraying one thing, but you're not delivering on that pitch. So not only is it really paramount that you get clear on what you want to achieve, that vision, that mission, those values, but then that you embed them in everything you do, and that you revisit that pitch to make sure that it aligns 100% with the experience and the journey you're offering in-house.
I think it's fair to say as well, you know, I'm not talking out of turn, that we haven't always been great at that. You know, we've grown significantly in 3 years, right? And there's been times where actually someone has joined and they're like, well, this is not what was sold. We're human, right? It happens. I'm not going to sit here and pretend we're perfect, but actually it's learning from that. It's, you know, getting the information that you need, getting the feedback, not just dismissing it as, well, that's a bad egg, that person's not good for us. It's actually understanding, like, what do we need to do? What can we do better for the future? Because that's how you grow. That's how you grow as an individual, and that's how you grow as a business as well. So yes, we admit our mistakes. We see our mistakes. We're not defensive about our mistakes, but we want to get everything that we can to be able to kind of be better and do better in future.
You fail forward, right? You say, okay, this didn't work. Let's put that aside. Let's try this. How can we continuously improve? And I think that really is where we differentiate a company that is stuck in their old ways of doing and stuck in that constant struggle versus the one that's going to be able to grow but still keep their people intact. And they take the time to build the systems that will enable that rapid growth, all the while still tending to the people element of the organization who are at the forefront, right?
And as well, it's that, you know, it's something that I sell quite a lot in the interviews, is that we had a great culture when we were teeny tiny, and it was easy to kind of, everybody knew everybody and everyone was loyal to the business because they were hired by the MD himself type of thing. We want to keep that. We want to capture that and do it on a bigger scale. But that there's different pain points in there, you know. As we grow, things can't stay exactly as they were, but actually we can grow on them and we can make them even better. It doesn't mean because we're not that small, close-knit company anymore that this isn't better culture and a more positive culture. But like I say, it is a journey. It definitely is a journey as we grow.
And recognizing it's a journey, and it's okay that, you know, we're not perfect. Nobody is at the end of the day, but having the open-mindedness to continuously evolve, to own our mistakes, to own where, oh, that was a bit of I'm not a big fan of the word failure. I always think a non-success. That was a non-success. What worked really well? What do we keep? And what do we kind of, how can we avoid the not so well parts reoccurring in the future? We are absolutely at time, Georgina, and thank you so much for sharing the Makodo culture. It sounds extremely exciting. I'd like to ask my guests at the end of any episode to share one thing. If there's one thing that they want to make sure that they impart on our listeners when it comes to creating a highly thriving workplace culture, what would that one thing be?
Bit biased here. Make sure you partner with HR. We like HR are here to help build the culture. We're not doing it on our own. We're not enforcing things, but we're not going against either. HR is a really important kind of facet in the company, and actually we're here to not lead and direct, but work alongside people to ensure we get to our common goal. I think, you know, embrace that and embrace the fact that we have a voice and we're here to help, and we're here to kind of feed into that as well.
I'm biased too, Georgina, but I 100% am of that same school that, you know, leverage your HR folks. They have expertise when it comes to people, that they're there to build and the systems to help you develop the skills required to fully tap the potential of your team. I always position, we're here to build the capes so they can be better managers, better leaders for their people. But in order for that to happen, we need to really understand where there's pain points, and they need to kind of work alongside with us as we develop and evolve the different systems and the different processes to support them in becoming better leaders for their people, and truly tapping not only their people's potential, but the entire department's potential.
I think the last thing, I know we're at time, but the last thing I will say is, you know, never kind of underestimate your team's feedback and your team's referrals and advice on things either. A huge amount of kind of talent comes through referrals from our current staff, and we, you know, people don't refer who they don't trust and they don't want to kind of come in and build on the business. So listen, have conversations, keep talking, and keep relying on the people around you to kind of make you a better workplace, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And if people want to learn more about Makodo or want to connect with you, how can they do that?
So on LinkedIn, the standard LinkedIn, my name's quite unique, Georgina Dellar-Gardiner. There's only one of me. So it would be great if you could do that. Likewise, you know, just drop me an in-message on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Send me an email through Makodo's email. I'm really, really happy to. I'm going into a school tomorrow to talk about kind of my career and how I got into HR and things like that. So I'm really, really happy to kind of to have a personal chat on that level. Or if you want to know about Makodo or roles in Makodo, drop me a message and I'm more than happy to
Amazing. We'll have all of those links in the show notes, folks. There were tons of nuggets of wisdom dropped today, and I'm hoping that you're able to take at least one and determine an action that you can implement today to start to get more of that and to start optimizing your existing workplace culture and to contribute to creating, which is what we ultimately with the show want to do, create as many or contribute to the creation of as many happier, more fulfilling workplaces as possible. You've got that action. Now go do that.
Thanks for joining us for yet another enriching conversation. To hear more about today's guest, make sure to check out the links in the description of the episode. Liked what you heard? Make sure to like and share this on all your socials. Want to continue the conversation? Head on over to our social media platforms to keep it going. Ready to find out how your workplace culture measures up? Then make sure to check out our website at www.bepeoplepowered.com. That's www.bepeoplepowered.com to take our free Happiness Factor culture check. And then sign up for our also free People Powered portal to start building your very own culture transformation action plan. Finally, make sure to subscribe to our show to make sure you don't miss another valuable episode.